There you have it, folks. JPDL Week 2 is officially in the books, and we are here to give you guys the rundown of every game that happened this week. And some shockers, some we expected, and all of it was a lot of fun. So let's go right into the first game. Starting off with the Thursday night JPDL football game, we had the number 1 Atlanta Juicers taking on the number 2 Los Angeles Flames. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was supposed to be an offensive battle that turned really quickly into a defensive one, as you guys can see by the rosters on the sheet. I'm going to be real. Coach Fitzgerald made a terrible play call. Terry McLaurin, just look at the points he put up. Look at the points Travis Kelce put up, who he is the real person we need to be looking at in this loss. Terry McLaurin, he's the scapegoat. We all know that. Shouldn't have made that change. Should have kept DK Metcalf in, who had a 28-point explosion, I believe. But he was on the bench. Coach Fitzgerald easily cost him the game, which goes to our player or a game changer of the match being Saquon Barkley, all right? And this is for this reason. Atlanta Juicers were down the entire game. They never were up until the final 4 minutes of Monday Night Football. There was never a question of whether or not this game was going to be close, because this game we already knew was going to be close. It was number 1 versus number 2. And let's keep it a buck. Saquon had that final push where Bijan was getting going, and all we needed was Saquon to just come along for the ride, and Saquon turned it up. And, for that reason, Atlanta Juicers won. But in reality, it was a great match. Either one of the teams could have won that. Los Angeles, you guys are just going to have to take this loss. And you guys are really going to have to, just block it out of your mind. Go into week 3 taking on Toronto with a whole different attitude. I do not expect Terry McLaurin to be in the lineup. But Atlanta, it was a very defensive match, and I got to say, Atlanta pulled it off. They showed why they are number 1 in some aspects of the game. So with that being said, let's go to game number 2. Looking into game 2, at the 1 o'clock scheduled game, we had number 8 Boston Baller Brand versus the number 9 Las Vegas Hurdlers. And I'm not going to lie, I don't even know what to make of this game. I did have Las Vegas winning this week, but by this margin, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Let's look at the rosters right here. You see the point values and everything. I think Boston Baller Brand is a lot worse than we expected them to be. They have injuries. Let's not get it twisted. They have injuries. C-Mac is hurt. T. Higgins is hurt. David Njoku was hurt this week. We put that in the keys to the game heading into this match, was that the injuries were going to play a part. But, when the injuries play that big of a part and Alvin Kamara goes off for 44 points in a fantasy game, I mean, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. And speaking of Alvin Kamara, that's going to be our game changer of the match, because this guy was incredible. Incredible. Nobody saw it coming. Las Vegas Hurdlers are trying to make a stamp and show why they are the better team in this league than number 9. They've been begging. They've been telling us, we're number 9 for what reason? We're number 9 for what reason? We're 2-0. We played Dallas Lax Pros, but now we're playing Boston Baller Brand, and we're going to beat them. I've heard it. Las Vegas, you guys do deserve the push-up. And trust and believe, at the end of this video, I believe you guys are going to be at least somewhat okay with where you guys end up. Las Vegas, they pulled off a win against a team that, honestly, I thought was a playoff team going into the preseason in Boston. They're not a playoff team. They're not a playoff contender. I don't see it, especially with all these injuries coming and affecting the lineups. Where they are in the power rankings after this, at the end of this video, is going to be right about where we expect them to be. But Las Vegas, they pulled off the win. Their team came to play. They put up a lot of offense. And, Boston Baller Brand did the exact opposite and barely put up any offense. So let's go into game number 3, the 4 o'clock scheduled game. Are we just not giving Toronto enough credit for what they're doing? I mean, they would, I believe, to have flooded their entire roster from last year and started fresh, and somehow is still 2-0 in the JPDL, and is doing it with players who we would assume to be less valuable than the players that he had last year. It's remarkable coaching by Toronto. I'll give it credit for that. But Philadelphia, they just weren't able to get it done. I can't. They go up against the number 4 ranked team last week at the time, which is Vice City Business, and then they take on the number 6 ranked team, and they just weren't able to get it done. I don't know what else to say about Philadelphia. I put major faith into them going into my predictions. I said I wouldn't disrespect them anymore, that they are legit. And, they come in here and they go to Toronto and they just don't perform the way I thought. Going into the game changer of the match, it's going to have to be Malik Neighbors. I mean, Malik Neighbors tore up Washington in the 1 o'clock games, really put a stamp in this week for Toronto and showed, hey, I'm a young boy, I'm a young pup, I'm a rookie, just like as Coach Mitchell's been saying. He wanted to bring in rookies this year. He saw a bunch of rookies, Caleb, Brock Bowers, Malik, and he wanted to bring them in and coach them up And this young wide receiving core was led by Malik, and they were able to get it done and really show that, hey, we're going to play a young brand of ball, but we're going to still win some games. Toronto is going to have to look to play the whatever team it's going to be in the power rankings, Los Angeles Flames. And, Philadelphia is going to have to go next week, and they're going to have to get it done somehow and get back up in those power rankings. So let's go to the next game, which is the number 4 game, the Sunday night matchup. Going into the Sunday night matchup, we had the Washington kickball team rated number 4, I believe, in the power rankings, taking on the number 7 and steady New York 67ers. And this was the highest team scoring point, whatever you want to call it, of the year. Coach Luther, and the Washington kickball team really came back after losing last week to a heartbreaking, loss against the number 2 Los Angeles Flames, and really proved why they deserve to be up in the power rankings at number 4, where they're at right now, and maybe potentially they go up in the power rankings at the end of this video. We don't know. All we know is that right now, Coach Luther has his team in a prime position with injured players, starting Jaylen Warren at the quarterback position for Jordan Love, or at the superflex position for Jordan Love. I thought he was going to go Bo Nix. He didn't go Bo Nix. He went with Jaylen Warren. Still had the best scoring output in the league this week. I mean, he's showing that he can be a coach. He's showing that he has depth. He's showing that he can be a real coach in this league, and he wants those playoffs. And I think he's going to get it. I think he wants to make a real splash. And once his team is fully healthy, I mean, who knows? As for Coach Diaz, he just wasn't able to get it from Thursday night when Josh Allen put up a minuscule performance, not a superhero heroic performance, and Dalton Kincaid had an average performance. I mean, we could just tell something was off with this team. I mean, we wanted New York football to be back. Coach Diaz had 120 points this week. That would have won against 4 out of the other 9 teams outside of him. So if you really think about it, there was a chance he could have won this game. He just went up against a really tough opponent and the number 1 opponent in points. So I got to give him credit. He went up against the number 1 team in the league last week and then went up against the number 1 points in the league this week. So, it's difficult for New York, and hopefully they bounce back next week. But the game changer of the match had to be Justin Jefferson. 97-yard touchdown at 1 o'clock. That'll kill any chance of momentum that you feel you have. Any chance. Even when it's close, you take a 97-yard touchdown, that's got to be like 15, 16 points on one play alone. Sunday night matchup did not disappoint in terms of overall offense, but in terms of, this being a close game, it did not live up to any of the hype that I thought it was going to. And I got to give credit to Washington. They proved me wrong. I thought New York was going to have good football this week, and, Washington blew them under the water. Let's go to the final game, the Monday Night Football matchup. The final matchup, the Monday Night Football matchup, we had the number 5 or 6, I think at the time, Vice City Business taking on the number 10 Dallas Lax Pros. And let's keep it a buck. This is one of our record low Monday Night John Paul Dynasty League watched games. I mean, this is one of the lowest ones. I mean, no one paid attention to this game. I think everyone knew clearly who was going to win. Vice City Business was on top. As you can see from the rosters right now, you can see there's just a lot of red going on in Dallas. I mean, there's a lot of red. Tua got hurt this week. That's not going to look good for him. Outside of that, the rookies that he had just put up minuscule numbers, put up real rookie numbers. I mean, what else can we look at? And Vice City Business, they knew they didn't really have to do that much this week. But I will say, I was intrigued from what I saw. Different from last week, from the game changer of the match, Kyler Murray. I mean, he put up a show against the Rams this week. He put up 3 touchdowns early on, 2 to Marvin Harrison in the first quarter. I mean, Kyler really got this team going and said, hey, I know this is a team that we should beat, but let's just stay on track and let's just make sure no questions are asked about this week. And there was no questions. I'm pretty sure Dallas put up the worst scoring performance in the league this year, and potentially in dynasty era football. We're gonna have to get back to that on the stats. But this was a game nobody watched on a primetime slot. I don't know why it was even put on primetime. You can blame the commissioner. And unfortunately, Dallas is gonna still have to win. I told you, breaking a lot of records in the wrong direction. I'm gonna say it every video. Dallas got slaughtered this week against Vice City Business, who finally got their first win for the new rebrand. So we got to congratulate Vice City. But now, let's go to the updated power rankings and see exactly where all your teams are now located after week 2. Now, you should be seeing the power rankings, I believe, over here. And what can I say? The number 1 and number 2 teams stay the number 1 and number 2 simply because they played each other. Number 1 team won, the number 2 team lost, and I don't think any of the teams underneath did enough to claim that number 2 spot. And number 3, you have the Washington kickball team, who are now eclipsing the once number 3 Philadelphia Frauds, who are seated at 4. Now you would be saying right here, hey, Los Angeles lost and so did Philly. So why is it that Philly goes down, but Los Angeles not go down? Los Angeles lost to the number 1 team, Atlanta. Philadelphia lost to the, at the time, number 6 ranked Toronto Mystics. Enough said there, all right? Let's put those to rest before those rumors even start. College, like how college works, this is what we're trying to do here. At number 3, Washington, they really secured themselves, being like top of the league in points. Yeah, they played a terrible team, but I do think Philadelphia have to go down for the performance they had. Washington have to go up just for the absolute offense that they put up in 2 games, by the way, because last game they were a sleeper offensive team, and this game they were the best offensive team. So we got to give it to them. Number 5, we have the Toronto Mystics. They're up. They're up and coming, and I'm gonna be real. It was really tough for me to decide whether or not to put them 5 or 4. We're giving Philadelphia 4 simply because they did beat Vice City Business. Toronto is really close. I mean, they are 2-0 in the league. Not to mention they have both been underdogs in both those games and have pulled it through. I do think this next game where they have Los Angeles Flames at number 2, that could be a heavy game for Toronto. And if they win that game, hey, man, the power rankings might be Toronto's. At number 6, Vice City Business, they did go down, but they only went down because, like I said, they're not going up for beating Dallas Lax Bros, but what they do tend to do sometimes is go down if somebody else had a better performance. And I think that Toronto, for getting an upset against the number 3 team, deserves to be ahead of them for now. At number 7, Las Vegas Hurdlers. All right, the Las Vegas Hurdlers, yes, they played the number 10 Dallas Lax Bros, and now the number 9, as you can see, Boston Baller Brand. So it's not a great strength of schedule, but Las Vegas is proving that they do have some noise to make. 2-0 and the number 7 team. I know I'm going to get hate. I know Coach Mills is going to hate on this, but that's as far as I can put you guys for right now. Number 8, New York. I think New York is, I don't know where their heads are at, and I think that, you know, I had them number 7, and they were steady number 7, and now they're number 8. I mean, they lost. What can I say? They lost. They're 0-2, and, you know, I don't really see much on the come up. And I don't even think that Coach Diaz sees much on the come up because he is showing himself that he doesn't even really care about this season right now. So why should I care about where New York goes in the power rankings just because I wanted good football in New York for once? All right, number 9, Boston. This team is a disarray. And until they get their act together, you know, what can I say? Boston is not a team that you want to invest your stake in right now, especially with all these injuries. I'm talking long-term injuries potentially. Boston's not a team that you want to invest any stock in. And speaking of teams you don't invest any stock in, number 10 is consistent. Dallas Lax Bros, like I said, records will be broken a lot in the wrong direction this year. I'm going to keep saying that. That's going to be my quote. But yeah, Dallas, just keep doing your thing. We know you're waiting until 2025. Power rankings. These are your official JPDL power rankings after week number 2. Before I end this video, I want to give you guys the insight on next week's matchups, including some real intriguing ones like the Sunday night football game, New York City versus Vice City, Monday night against Los Angeles Flames versus Toronto. That's always a big rivalry. Philly plays Boston. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff kicking off tomorrow, next week. So without further ado, that's the end of week 2. Can't wait for the week 3 prediction video where I give you guys insight on who I think will win. So make sure you tune in for that video because that one's about to be a good one. And I can't wait to see what week 3 brings us. JPDL, let's get it!